All right, let's start the show.
All righty.
Welcome to Rat Salad Review. What's up, Lou?
Doing all right there, Wayne. Party on. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Hey, George from Timeless Haunt, what's up?
Gentlemen, how are you tonight?
Yasu file.
Yasu. A little Greek.
Hell yeah.
And today's guest is Scott Evil from 97 Underground and Zombie Ritual Podcast. What's up, Scott?
All hail evil.
The evil one.
By the way, happy to say that George is on this episode, and I got my Timeless Haunt t-shirt in the mail today.
Isn't it beautiful?
Look at that.
Where's my band of white hands?
Yeah, nice
really.
print.
Sublimated T-shirt.
Got some cool shit in the back, too.
Embrace the haunt.
Embrace it. And actually, George, you were just on Scott's show a few weeks
I
ago.
was. Yes, I was on the podcast down at the wonderful 97 Underground. It was great.
Yeah, George sat down with us, and actually, even before that, another guy who's on our station, Charles Parker, got me in touch with those guys and sent me some tracks first. So they were on Zombie Ritual first, and then we brought them in for the podcast. So, well received. People love that Timeless Haunt.
Cool. All right, that's good. That's good to know because we love Timeless Haunt here. We love George as well. George is my favorite member of the Timeless Haunt. All the other guys are kind of
I'm fun. The rest of them are assholes.
Yeah, kind of. Especially
You
when
can tell it's a real band when they're insulting each other, ladies and gentlemen.
Especially that unknown guy.
Oh my God! Don't even get me started on him with the whole the festival thing. Jesus Christ!
The gladiator, like, face mask thing?
Yeah.
Nah, he trolled everyone and pulled an April Fool's prank that Timeless Haunt was playing Vakken this year. I didn't believe it for a second. I said, Wayne, is this legit? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay.
I get the text from Wayne. He's like, congratulations. I'm like, okay. And I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. And then
He heard you were pregnant, George.
That's what it was. And I know I'm playing a joke on everybody. Don't say anything. I'm like, okay. Yeah, Wayne, I'll give you details later. You know,
Should have said you guys were opening for Powerwolf. You guys would go great together.
Yeah, I know. I would have been right there. Well,
we're all going. Let's go.
That's right. We're all going. So, Scott, I had you on the show because you obviously had the interview with George, and they promoted Rat Sound Review, and then, I guess you're kind of interested in coming on and, doing something together. So I wanted you to come on and talk about your podcast and, the bands that you're into and all that, because I have listened to your podcast a little bit, and I was listening to the radio show, and I enjoy it, dude. I mean, you're more of extreme metal type music, and I like some extreme bands, but I'm more into like the power metal and like hard rock and stuff. But there are some good bands you do play on your podcast, so I do enjoy it a lot.
Well, that's the thing. Like, so the show Zombie Ritual was started. The owner of 97 Underground. 97 Underground has a history with like the Baltimore 80s, 90s, like hair metal and hard rock scene. It really got famous because it was associated with a place called Hammerjacks, which was George type of Hammerjacks. It was really like legendary rock club, debaucherous, like,
everything about 80s excess heavy metal, that was Hammerjacks. It personified it.
Oh, those were the days.
They were the days.
And like, Hammerjacks got decent sized shows, but I think what made Hammerjacks really special was like if a big band was in town, they would go to Hammerjacks afterwards to party, like, and I guess I kind of missed that era a little bit. I wish I was alive when if you knew Van Halen was coming to town, it was going to be a wild night because the band was in town. I don't think they don't do that as much anymore. They go back to the bus or the next street or whatever. But so 97 Underground's, its history is, classic hard rock, heavy metal. In the late 80s and early 90s, they did have something called Burnout Brunch, which was played some of the heavier thrash, Actually, the first 97 Underground show promoted was King Diamond. But, and we just did King Diamond at the Lyric right before COVID, and he did the Masquerade tour. We were there. But so anyway, so the owner actually and I used to work together as teachers, and he asked me if I would do a show playing heavier stuff, kind of to expand the show's range, but also, to give us a venue to promote, because promoting shows before COVID kept the lights on. And so we started Zombie Ritual to play some of the heavier stuff, death metal, and we do a little bit of everything: death metal, power metal, thrash metal, doom, sludge, anything that's like heavier than that step up the metal ladder.
Right.
Anything that pretty much doesn't reach the status quo of bruh metal.
No bro metal, no butt rock.
I didn't even know that was a thing, butt rock, but apparently it's those rock stations that play. We play everything that. What was it they say? Like, we don't play music, anything that sucks but rock. Right. So butt rock, and that's how it associates that.
Hoobastank is the general.
Oh, that's the buttest of butt rock.
The buttest of butt rock, right? So we started Zombie Ritual in 2019.
Okay.
And that was pretty good. I also work at the Auto Bar, which is a pretty famous rock club in Baltimore as well. Kind of CBGB's-esque, old, grimy, still going. So we started a connection there. And then during COVID, once everything shut down and we didn't have shows to promote, we kind of thought, what can we do? We have the studio. George has been there. We have a full-fledged studio in the Motor's basement now. So we started recording the podcast. But the podcast is a little bit wider in its scope. It's not just death metal. I mean, we've had a lot of people come in that I know who were playing extreme metal, but we had George and Time was on. And we interviewed Jeff Pilson and George Lynch.
Okay.
Docking.
Yeah, that was fun.
Were they promoting the End Machine, or were they promoting their Lynch Pilson record?
They were promoting their covers album.
So the Lynch Pilson record, okay.
Yeah, it was that. Yeah, Lynch Pilson album. Yeah.
Also promoting Foreigner.
We talked about Foreigner. Actually, I think Pilson was a little shocked that I asked him about the movie Rockstar.
Oh,
He was in the fake band in Rockstar.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I was like, did you guys did you jam? Like you're sitting around with you and Jason Bonham and Zach Wilde.
Yeah.
Right. That's a hell of a band, minus Mark Wahlberg.
They did. They did troll Mark Wahlberg by playing "Good Vibrations"
at the end in the credits.
That was hilarious.
Yeah. Hey, he was cool. It's cool to talk to Jeff. And then actually Charles Parker, who connected me with George, did George Lynch. Because Charles actually also did Dokken too. So we've covered the whole spectrum of, and it wasn't just supposed to be me. Actually, the idea was that there's a lot of different people that have shows on 97 Underground. We have a hair metal show. We have a show that's more like, harder rock, kill switch engagey kind of metalcore. We have a bunch of various different shows. So the idea was that the podcast, the different hosts would bring people in to kind of reflect the diversity of the station and the fact that we play different kinds of stuff. But everybody's been really busy, so I've kind of been the main interviewee. But I always tell people, it's not my podcast. I'm just a person who's always available to talk. And also between Autobar and so my old roommates were in the bands Misery Index and Pig Destroyer.
Okay.
So yeah.
I fucking love Pig Destroyer.
Sure. 3/5 of Pig Destroyer has lived in lived in my old basement at one point or another.
That is cool.
And that connection was through Autobar because Adam Jarvis, who's the drummer for Misery Index and Pig Destroyer, who's an absolute beast, he worked at Autobar with me, and he needed a place to live. I lost a roommate. He moved in, and then I got to meet his cousin John Jarvis, who's now in Scour with Phil Anselmo, and then Blake from Pig Destroyer, the guy who does the keyboards and drinks beer on stage, the cheerleader, as we call him, he ended up moving in at one point too. So, and then, through Pig Destroyer, I got to meet a lot of, it's, how it goes, a little, Wayne's World quote, they tell two friends, and they tell two friends, and they tell two friends. So that really helped me, get to know a lot of people. So the podcast has been a little bit heavy on that stuff, but, it's the podcast is more open to everything on the station, not just the death metal stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. So, and now is the radio station, is that actually on air? Like I can go, when I go to Maryland, I can tune it in, or
no,
is it website based?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. It was on air in the 80s and 90s, and George listened when it was on air. It was on 97.
96.7.
96.7.
And then it went 103.1 when they expanded and they moved the antenna was in Graysonville.
Right, the Eastern Shore. Yeah, they moved it off the Chesapeake Bay.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's fully online. But we do have a pretty decent app for for smartphones.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
also,
how I was listening to when I thought George was going to be on. I was listening to it while I was working, and yeah, it works.
okay.
Really well, so.
Yeah. So we have that, and we have like the Amazon and Roku app. So yeah, it's fully streaming, which is cool.
Mhm.
There's been some there's been a few like kind of radio stations out in the Midwest that have approached the owner about like possibly maybe pumping it out and broadcasting it, but there's nothing definitive yet. So all internet.
Wow.
But that's cool because we can cuss.
Right, yeah. You don't have to worry about all the FCC.
That's
all
true.
that
No,
other garbage.
exactly.
Yeah. So it's been fun, man. It's been super cool to be associated with the station. I mean, I'm a huge music fan. I have no talent, but I've always been a music fan. So, and I went to college. I went to Fordham originally to do broadcasting and communications, and drank myself stupid and ended up having to go back and be a teacher. So now I'm actually like, I love teaching. It's a great job. I'm a total history nerd. But now I'm actually doing radio. And so it's cool. It's cool to things come circle around.
That's a nice pusher you have there, George.
My favorite pussy in the world, right there.
We got cats and dogs all over the show.
He's grabbing it. Yeah, I said it. Sue me.
There may be a pussy or two on the screen down here. We'll see.
Can't help it. I am what I eat. Leave me alone.
So if 97 Underground ever does get like broadcasted on actual radio, do you think it would be recepted really well on the radio? I mean, because I know stations have done it over time, and
sure,
it ends up failing. But I don't know why, because there is no metal stations out on the regular radio you can listen to. And that's kind of annoying.
Well,
yeah, I
can't stand why people still want to listen to classic rock. I don't get it.
The only worthy metal radio station that has an FCC license is 89.5 WSOU, but that's in South Orange, New Jersey. And although they have a presence online, you can't hear it outside of the Metro New York, New Jersey area.
That's Seton Hall, right? Or
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Which
I originally applied there, and I got accepted, but St. John's University is where I graduated from. They offered me a free ride, so I took it. But you
got to go where the money is.
Exactly.
We used to, so we were talking earlier before we started recording. I went to Fordham, and we used to listen. We used to listen at Fordham to WSOU. I mean, I don't know. I would love to say that it would be, but with like on-air radio has become so like sterilized. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I mean, I can't say I don't listen to it because down here in Baltimore we have like 102.7 Jack FM. It's like an auto program station that just plays like a mix of like 70s and 80s and all. And we have the main rock station down here, 98 Rock. It's almost so formulaic because like if you hear a good song, like maybe you hear like a good like old Metallica song, you bet your bottom dollar there's a butt rock song coming up afterwards. There's like almost no surprise.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is, it's like I think there's 3 major conglomerates that own every radio station out there in the entire country, and it's the same rotation of 40 songs average per week. So it's not even what the listeners want to hear; it's what the advertisers want to hear. It's like if they have money behind this artist, it's like, hey. We'll pay you X amount, and don't think for a second payola is not a thing in commercial radio. If you don't, you're a jackass. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, sure. Well, I mean, like, unfortunately, from what I'm hearing, with concerts coming back, concerts for a long time now are going to be pay to play. With promoters have no money, venues have no money. But to answer your question, a radio station would work if you had it in a community where you had a real buy-in from like the metal community in town, right? Like the podcast, for example, right? The 97 Underground podcast, the best podcasts in terms of listenership are ones that really apply to like, I mean, we got good listenership with Pilsen and Lynch because they were, they're nationally known, but like we really do really good well when you have someone from the local community and the local community really buys in, and then everybody will want a part of that. So you'd have to, but again, it'd be super hard in today's world of corporate radio to set up a metal station that's focused on the local scene versus not playing those same. I mean, and we could probably sit here and say like a horrible version of corporate extreme metal radio where the only death song you hear is Pull the Plug, or the only Queensryche song you hear is Jet City Woman or something like that. And Jet City Woman's a great song, but you know what I mean? It'd be you'd have to really have a buy-in with local people and keep it interesting. Like we have a classic rock station in Baltimore that's okay, but again, it's super formulaic. There's one actually out of DC that plays interesting stuff. Like the one in Baltimore plays Black Sabbath, they play Paranoid, right? But every now and then you turn on the one in DC and you'll hear Snowblind. And to a metalhead like me, I'm like, oh, I'm hearing Snowblind on the radio, like hell yeah, you know, like icicles in my brain, like. So you'd have to do that. You'd have to play stuff to keep people interested, I guess. Yeah. I'd love to do it. I mean, when we do go live on the studio. We've done Zombie Ritual live on air, and the owner of 97 Underground, the Phantom, does his show every week live. So we do have some live programming, and even doing that, you know, via internet is a lot of fun for us. So, yeah.
Yeah, doing live is always fun. It's more spontaneous. I used to do this show live, but then the program I used to use, OBS, it just was not working. So
sure,
we do it all, you know, record all our stuff. But yeah, I love doing live stuff because you never know what's going to happen, right, George?
Maybe we'll go back to doing it one day.
One day, I'll let you be in charge of that, though.
Oh no, you don't want that.
Well, yeah, I mean, see, you know, like you guys were saying, and you listen to some of the Zombie Ritual shows, and they're thank you for listening. But you know, I mean, like they're done here, and you know, it's like, you know, it's kind of very meticulous, like this song, that song, this is what I'm going to say. And when we do live, and I'm lucky that every time we've gone live down here, my buddy Justin Etham, who plays guitar in Integrity, he's got a band down here, Asthma Castle. He comes on with me.
What?
Asthma Castle. Yeah, they're like a local doom metal band. Yeah. It's a ridiculous name.
Does he sing like he has asthma?
No.
Sorry, couldn't help it.
No. They're actually Adam Jarvis from Pig Destroyer and Misery Index plays drums in that band. They're like a local doom heavy band. But you know, just doing it live and being spontaneous, and of course, like, you know, the alcohol flows as the night goes on.
Hey,
you know.
Nothing wrong with that.
It's a little bit more fun than pre-programming, but pre-programming is fun too.
On your last episode, I heard something awesome that you guys are actually going to be going live at 3 a.m. Thursday mornings to broadcast to listeners overseas in Asia and Europe. That is really cool. Congratulations.
Yeah, that was like, you know, we did a rerun. Originally it was Saturday at 8 and Sunday at 10. And, you know, it was kind of like, well, you know, there's a lot of international people that dig this stuff. And 97 Underground alone has, you know, international listenership, almost more than we do in Baltimore. So, yeah, we put it on there. That way, you know, because well, first of all, we talked about this on the show. Indonesia is one of the most metal places on earth right now. The Indonesian metal scene is unreal. Like,
I think the prime minister, the president, is a metalhead of Indonesia. Yeah,
that's right. Yep. And so, you know, like, and that's, and then also South Africa too. We've gotten a lot of submissions from South African bands. So, you know, you do 3 a.m., you can hit the European and South African market on the morning commute, and then you're hitting the Asian market in the evening commute. So try to, like, you know, expand the listenership.
Sure. Very interesting. Yeah, I've been switching the times of this show too, just to see what happens, because, you know, I usually put it on like 8 o'clock at night, and, you know, that's our time, you know, and you know, everybody gets it late. So.
Well, you know, I mean, I'll tell you the first experience I ever had with like the serious hardcore Asian metal scene. We're lucky, you know, here in Maryland, we have the Maryland Death Fest, and that's a killer festival. And one of the first ones I went to, there was a band on the list. The name of the band was Bathtub Shitter. Bathtub Shitter.
I think I saw them listed beneath ABBA, the local mom and pop music store.
So I had no idea. I've been like, okay. I mean, my metal spidey senses were like, this is probably a grindcore band, and it was 4 little Japanese guys, and they got up on stage. And this is 2008. I mean, I didn't have a smartphone. You know, I mean, I don't think they existed. So it's not like you could be like, oh, Bathtub Shitter. Oh, they're Japanese. You know, it was just kind of like, all right, Bathtub Shitter's up next. This would be sweet. And
chances are, back in the day, you could probably find that on the dark web, not on the
right?
not on
Silk
Google.
Road, right? Isn't that guy in prison? So you know, these like 4 very non-metal, normal-ish looking Japanese guys get out there and just blasted like 30 minutes. Every song was 35 seconds, like, and you know, it's like, whoa! I had no idea that this was happening. And then afterwards, we ended up drinking with those guys, and they couldn't speak English very well. But I do remember the drummer knew. Sorry to get dirty on your show here, but the drummer knew like the shocker. So by the end of the night, we were like drinking with these Japanese guys, going like watching bands at the Maryland Death Fest at the old Club Sonar, which is now closed, and with the band watching other bands going shocker, shakura. It was ridiculous. But that's what happens when you have a crazy heavy metal festival in your hometown every year. You know, you get to get into that kind of shit.
I got to ask, were you there the year that Pentagram headlined, where Bobby came on quite inebriated and late?
Yes.
And, oh my God!
And that's the reason that they had to pull the plug on Venom, and the Venom guys were somewhat shitty about it. And you know, the promoters of the Maryland Death Fest were like, "Look, man, you guys don't understand. This is Baltimore. The cops tell you to turn the lights off. You turn the lights off, you know?"
Yeah.
And it was something like for every minute they went over 11, they would have been fined some insane amount of money. Because again, it's the People's Republic of Maryland, and they'll take for anything down here.
I told Wayne the same thing happened to Dream Theater when they played at Radio City Music Hall for their score show. They went off stage at 11:02. They ended up paying like $30,000 plus in overtime union fees because they ended at 11:02.
You serious? That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I had that DVD. It's a great performance.
Well,
that's crazy.
Just keep in mind they paid $30,000 extra for you guys. So
That's right.
I apologize for cutting you off, Scott.
I'm sure they made it back.
I wasn't there, so I didn't give a shit, George. Sorry, Scott. You were saying so. Maryland, the curfews.
Well, so when Pentagram, you know, because of Bobby was a disaster. Actually, I was backstage that day because Pig Destroyer played earlier, and I was with the Pig Destroyer guys, and you know, they were like, "Dude, Bobby's fucked up. Like, it's pushing everything back." Actually, it's you know, it's all you know, the metal scene in any area is incestuous, so everybody knows everybody. So the people from the guys I was telling you about earlier, the Pig Destroyer guys know the Asthma Castle guys, know the Maryland Death Fest guys. So the one guy who's there's two guys that run the Maryland Death Fest, Ryan and Evan, and they were like freaking out because they're like, Bobby's fucked up, we're gonna go late. Venom was pissed. So yeah, but luckily, knock on wood, they haven't had too many of those. The only other really like disaster was like a couple of years ago, Sodom was supposed to play. Like Sodom was their big headliner because Sodom hadn't played in the U.S. in like 30 years or something. And Sodom fucked up with their visas, and then Sodom put something on social media saying we can't play Maryland Death Fest, it's all the promoter's fault. So they had to release like a big statement with like, this is everything that happened, you know. And it's like, you don't want to air your dirty laundry out there, but it's also not classy to throw the promoter under the bus or throw the festival under the bus, you know.
Yeah.
George, I saw you laughing when I mentioned Pentagram. Were you at that show, or did you just hear about it?
I saw the movie.
Oh,
the
yeah,
documentary or whatever. And
Last Days
awesome,
Here.
but it's a shame he's Is he still in jail?
Oh, he's out.
He's out.
Now? Okay.
Didn't he go to jail for abusing his mom or something?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
I can't support him anymore. I used to love Pentagram, but I don't know. I think about my mom. I love my mama. So I would never.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck you, Bobby Leeling.
Yeah, that guy.
Give one of these, Lou.
Yeah, he's crossed over to like.
Nah.
What is the dumbest? Because you mentioned some weird ass names already. What's the dumbest name you've heard so far from a band?
Queef Huffer. Which I saw at a Maryland Death Fest. There was a guy, you know, because like, you know, guys know we can go down the road here with metal shirts, right? Like at the Maryland Death Fest, it's definitely like metal cool guys like trying to show off who's got the shirt, right? Who's got the most extreme shirt. Like one year just there's so one year there's a shirt, right? And you know, you're always looking at shirts too, and there's this shirt and it's like a vagina poorly drawn. It's probably not anatomically correct. Like blasting like ancient nautical map looking wind, you know, the images of like clouds blowing wind, you know, on a guy's face, and the guy's like, and I'm like, what the fuck? And then the top it says Queef Huffer, and then this is the name of one of their EPs, High on Queef.
Nice.
So that's a pretty stupid name. That's
pretty
pretty up there.
I want
Bathtub
to
Shitter, is pretty good.
I want to buy that shirt on principle right now.
Yeah.
Without even having heard it.
It's funny? It's not shocking. Queef Huffer is a one-man project, and the guy who does it, he's on a bunch of like Facebook metal forums, like death metal forums and all.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a total douche. He's a total queef. Like, he's an asshole. He like, anytime somebody posts something, he's like, "That's not hardcore enough, pussy." He's one of those guys. And part of me, I'm like, I get it. If like your magnum opus is shitty gore grind and called Queef Huffer, like, you're probably gonna be like,
yeah, you're gonna be.
Why are you posting obituary again, man? But.
Mm-hmm.
So on the scale of Pecker Queef to vaginal blood fart, where does he lie?
Well, I can't judge him solely on online interactions, but he's pretty queefy on social media. Let's put it that
Queefy.
way.
Wait, I think that's the first you ever said the word queef on Rod Solid Review.
It's all right. We say a lot of stuff.
You're getting a lot of subscribers now.
I hope so.
Well, your guy's name, because Don was wearing your shirt, and when you guys were sitting down, I was like, that's got to be related to Black Sabbath, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Rat Salad.
Yeah.
The guy who came up with it's not on the show anymore. We kept the name.
Ditched him, kept the name.
Yes.
So, but no, I'm trying to think. Queef Huffer, Bathtub Shitter were up there. There was an all Japanese grindcore band.
Yellow Machine Gun?
What's that?
Yellow Machine Gun?
No.
Okay.
Oh, is that a band though?
Yes, from Japan. I think they're a hardcore crust grind, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Some word salad genre.
Hey, I don't come up with these genres, George.
Right.
There's so many, I can't keep track.
I'm still trying.
Aggressive gore grind or retro aggressive gore grind?
It's genty grind. I don't know.
Genty grind.
I'm trying to get rid of the word gent from the dictionary. Seriously, that's the dumbest name I ever heard for a genre. But what was the weirdest name?
So the band's name was FLAD. F period L period A period D period, and it was short for Fladius Idiosyncrasy in the Dilapidation. And it was a bunch of like fairly attractive Japanese women playing brutal grind, like almost unlistenable. But that was a hell of a name, Fladius Idiosyncrasy in the Dilapidation.
Them Japanese love their artistry.
Yeah,
Me too.
There was another band that played called Nun Whore Commando 666.
For the love of God.
Yeah, that was pretty stupid. Yeah.
There's a band on Facebook now called Piss on Christ.
Yeah. Well, it's like, how can we get more evil,
Right.
Yeah.
How can we, yeah.
But,
Make people, oh my God.
Fear Factory had them beat. Fear Factory has a song, Piss Christ, on 96
on
Demanufacture,
mm-hmm.
right? So it's like, you already beat.
Yeah, bring that Fear Factory. I loved Fear Factory when I was in high school. Just constantly listening to Dehumanufacture.
Yeah, now he doesn't like them much, ladies and gentlemen.
No, they're okay. They're not as good as they used to be, though. But
Wait,
they don't have anything.
What do you mean they don't have anything?
They haven't come out with anything in over 5 years. Burton's gone from the band. He wants nothing to do with Dino anymore.
The newer stuff, though. But anyway, how ahead of their
time? They do have a new stuff coming out. They do have a new album.
Dino's working on stuff. I don't know who the singer is, though.
I think the album that's coming out is Burton, unless they secretly got a new singer, because they recorded it with Burton, and then Burton scattered
after that.
Yeah.
Which is the same. I've seen that coming for a long time, But how ahead of their time were they? I was listening to Dehumanufacture the other day, and I'm like, holy shit! Half of the bands nowadays sound almost exactly like Dehumanufacture.
Yeah, they were way ahead of their time. I mean, the mixture of clean vocals with growls, and clean vocals but not done in like a whiny kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with Obsolete and Digimortal, the clean vocals started getting a little more softer, I guess. Yeah. But some of those easy tracks like Descent and stuff, I dig that stuff. Yeah. But yeah, they were way ahead of their time. I mean, I'm a big Demanufacture mark, and yeah, people have been trying to capture that sound for almost 30 years. They did it. Mm-hmm. They basically laid the pattern for it. Soul of a New Machine, it's a little more on the death metal-y side.
Right.
Yeah, that was more Napalm Death than anything.
Right. Mm-hmm. especially with the they had the heavier vocals were way more like distorted and almost Cookie Monster-ish on that.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys ever listened to Concrete?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. That's cool. I dig that too. It's funny, like I didn't mind the last album they put out, Genexus.
Mm-hmm.
I thought was pretty good.
Is that right? I felt like the melodies and stuff that like Burton used to sing. They just weren't there anymore. All the melodic type stuff wasn't there.
Yeah, and live too. The clean stuff doesn't sound as good live anymore. Yeah.
And I like the Mechanized because that had Gene Hoglan on drums. That was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And that's what too I missed. Like the band's not there anymore. It's all computerized now. So
right. They did bring in, they did the one album after Mechanized. They did with a drum machine, right? And then for Genexus, they brought in Mike Heller, who's in Malignancy, who's from up your guys' way, right? They're in New York. So that piqued my interest because Malignancy is like really brutal, like death metal. Yeah. So that got me interested because having him in the fold, and he did the tour when they played Demanufacture. But I'm knock on wood. I'm lucky I got to see them a bunch of times with the OG lineup, especially with Ray Herrera. You talk about drumming influences.
Oh yeah, he was awesome. Yeah,
Ray's a beast. Yeah. And now he does video game music.
Oh really?
Yeah. That's why he does video game music. Apparently, does really well.
I'll have to look that up. That's pretty cool.
Point on that. Yeah, but Fear Factory. You take the heaviness, the clean, and also Fear Factory was a few years before nu metal, and the idea that it's riff based, right? It's not there's not a lot of leads, in Fear Factory. There's not a ton of solos,
right?
So they were a little bit ahead of the nu metal sound as well, and part of that may be cross pollination with California. Korn came out of California, and Caius and all that stuff. So I'm sure there was some cross pollination there, but.
Yeah, but in my eyes, though, Fear Factory has an edge over a lot of those nu metal bands that they don't. The fact that Maiden, when they had Blaze Bayley, took them on their first national tour. And as far as I'm concerned, if you're good enough to open up for Maiden, then, you're better than a lot of the other bands of that ilk that came out at the same time.
Yeah, Fear Factory.
Yeah.
And yes, I liked X Factor, Wayne. Sorry, I did.
I love X Factor.
Okay.
Actually, X Factor, and I'm afraid to admit this, but it's one of my favorite Maiden albums.
Nothing wrong with it. Hey, I picked Sign of the Cross as one of my top 10 Maiden songs.
Scott's eyes just went into the back of
No.
He's glad you didn't say Virtual 11.
I've only really heard those tracks with Bruce singing them. I've heard Klansman and Sign of the Cross. I don't listen to the Blaze stuff much on album, but I'll admit my Iron Maiden, liking off Iron Maiden albums. I love No Prayer for the Dying. I love.
So do I.
People shit on that album, and I think that album is great. It's not Power Slave, it's not Peace of Mind, but it's good. I mean, it's got good tunes on it. I mean, so when it comes to saying you like the Iron Maiden albums that cool people shit on, I'm right there with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that stuff. Even like the Kiss the Elder. I mean, that's one of my favorite Kiss albums. I like weird shit like that.
Hey, I'm a big fan of not so much Demolition, but the Judas Priest album Jugulator with
yes,
yeah, that one's good.
I think that's a good album.
I do too.
Yeah. And you guys will know this. You guys are New York guys, and George might know too. I saw a Priest with Ripper and Anthrax with Bush at the old Roseland Ballroom, and it was a great show.
Yeah,
awesome.
Well, that was at Roseland or at Hammerstein?
Roseland Ballroom. Yeah.
To ask you, you were mentioning about some of the Japanese bands. Do you also get the chance to play some of the Visual Kai bands or bands like on your show? Oh, okay. Is there Anthem? They're a band from Japan. I recommend them. They have an album out called. Oh God, I forgot what it was called. Hold on. Keep talking. I'll find it.
I've never heard of them either. Isn't there an old thrash band called Anthem though, or am I mistaken? We're thinking that for somebody else.
We have played a few times. There's a really good grindcore band from Singapore called Wormrot.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah.
Heard of Wormrot. Oh, it's oh damn it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you just looked it up.
This is not the first time this is happening.
You know what I'm putting in this spot, Lou?
I'll kill you.
Looking for a city. Here we go.
So about that Blaze Bailey, huh?
No, the name of the album is called.
Looking
Sorry,
for a city?
I'm just thinking of that. The name of the album from Anthem's called Domestic Booty, and it was actually produced by the same guy that produced Painkiller, Chris Sangarides, and
Oh, really?
it's almost like a perfect sister album to that. So I highly recommend Anthem if you're really into like metal music from Japan. I mean, of course,
did the Anvil stuff.
he did that. He also did Mama's Boys. He did a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, he was a very prolific producer. But
Anvil,
Bubbles Go Ape. Yeah.
Anvil played the Maryland Death Fest right when they were like, you know, after that movie came out. I didn't know about the whole like play the guitar with the dildo thing.
Yeah.
So that was cool to see for the first time.
Yeah, I saw them on my birthday a few years back. It was pretty cool. Cool show.
I'll take Annihilator any day. Anyways.
Two totally different bands. Come on. But,
I know. That's why I'll take them.
What did you think? What did you think of the newest Annihilator album? Sadistic.
I have not had a chance to listen to it. I'm actually, I'm quite happy. I just purchased on CD Carnival Diablos, so I'm glad I have that in my collection again.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Nice. Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, the new Annihilator is pretty good.
Yeah.
Cool.
I like Jeff singing too. Jeff's voice he should have been singing the whole time. You know, honestly, I thought he's pretty good at his vocals.
Yeah.
Now I wish Greg was here because you said you're a huge carnivore. Carnivore.
I'm the carnivore fan.
I like Carnivore too. I've seen Carnivore AD twice, and they nail it pretty well.
Yeah. I've been thinking of Coroner. Sorry.
Yeah. They just announced them actually. Maryland Death Fest 2022, which has now been posted to them twice, but they just added Coroner, and I'm marking out because they got Coroner, who I saw when they played Maryland Death Fest the first time, one of my favorite bands, and they've got a bunch of death metal stuff that I'm really into too, like Monstrosity, Dismember. So Maryland Death Fest is lining up pretty good, pretty good.
That sounds pretty cool. But
what's that?
So when is Maryland Death Fest?
It'll be Memorial Day weekend. 2022.
Okay.
But you know, with Coroner, a lot of people like, you know, you get your people that only like the early Coroner albums, the thrashier stuff. Mm-hmm. But you know, yeah. I like them, but I mean, I don't mind the slower down stuff. Again, you talk about like a little bit ahead of its time.
Yeah.
You know, like Coroner was doing that kind of Mastodon-y, like proggier, heavier. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not quite thrash, you know. I definitely think they were a little bit ahead of their time. If you listen to albums like Grin, mm-hmm. you know, like it's like listening to the first Mastodon album and listen to Crack the Sky. You know, they slowed it up. The songs got longer. It got a little less brutal, a little bit more ambient heaviness, timeless haunt style, as they say.
Okay.
And I dig that, and you know, but not every time. You know, sometimes I fall into the category of like, well, I only like the old heavy stuff, not the new stuff. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Opeth once they completely gave up on the heavy stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, so I don't always go for that. But with Coroner, I dig the more proggier, easier listening stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
So we just. What?
No, I wouldn't say I dig it more than the earlier stuff, but I certainly enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. See, actually, last week we did part one of our Coroner discography, and really? I love those first three albums. Those first three are really cool. It reminds me of like old school, like Megadeth type stuff, mm-hmm. and you know, even because Tom Warrior was in it, there's some Celtic Frost type style stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Too, so. And then obviously, you know, the guitar player went to play. He played on
Creator's album.
Creator Apollyon Sun, right? He played on the Apollyon Sun album. Yeah. So of those first three Coroner albums, which one do you like the most, Wayne? Let's turn it on you, Wayne.
Oh my God! Off the top of my head, what the hell are the first two? What are the
Rest in Peace?
Death Cult, Rest in Peace, and what's the other one?
Well, Death Cult, you have Death Cult, the demo, then Rest in Peace, Punishment for Decadence,
and No More Colors, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, Rest in Peace, I think, is my favorite one.
Rest in Peace is pretty good. I love No More Color. No More Color is my favorite of all their stuff.
Yeah.
Mine was Grin.
Yeah,
Grin was my favorite because I was telling Wayne that because I'm a big fan of Death during their Symbolic and the album after that, and it just reminded me of that so much. Like I could hear their influence over bands like Death in their later years and Cynic and stuff like that, and I was really digging it.
Dude, you don't understand how many arguments I've gotten into with like metalheads about those Last Death albums and how they are awesome. Like,
I agree. Sound of Perseverance. That's what it is.
Yeah. Great. Those albums rule, man, and they're interesting.
I agree.
You know, like I love Leprosy. I love Spiritual Healing.
Oh yeah, not taking anything away from those albums. It's just preference.
Yeah, and I have a tune, like I have an ear for, like I like my heaviness, I like my brutality, but I also like when you get the hits of melody and you get, you know, the more interesting structure. So that's why I've gravitated towards that death. Bands like Monstrosities, Millennium, which has one of the worst album covers ever. It looks like these weird, it looks like space eggs from that video game Myst. But the album rips. I mean, it's death metal, but it's interesting. It's technical. It's got it's melodic. You know, it's got all the little tasty little tidbits that you would want. You know, so.
And then actually, when we started doing the discography, it was the first time Lou's actually heard of Coroner.
Yeah, shame on me.
Really?
I was exposed to Celtic Frost when I was a kid because my brother had Morbid Tales on cassette, and I remember listening to it repeatedly till I wore it out. And you know, I've always been a Celtic Frost fan, but I'd never heard Coroner until Greg recommended them. And Wayne said, "Oh, we're doing the discography for Coroner." I was like, "Who?" And then I listened, and I said, "Wayne, I hate myself right now because I wish I had discovered this stuff earlier." But it's actually influenced my playing a lot now because I play guitar, if you couldn't tell.
Sure.
And, you know, actually, George and I have recorded a couple of cover songs with Wayne together. This is the first time that we've met.
Yeah.
That's right.
In semi-person.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, I love them. And I was looking for a Coroner t-shirt, and I couldn't. But somebody was selling a... one on tpublic.com that I purchased, and
I got a clear bootleg one from. There's this like Bulgarian dude who comes to the Maryland Death Fest every year and sells a shit ton of bootleg shirts. So I got one from there.
Sometimes the bootlegs look better than the licensed ones.
For sure.
But hey, now that they're back together, maybe the merchandise will start getting better. So.
Flowing again. Yeah. I was the same way with when I first heard Demolition Hammer. I was like, how have I never heard this? Because I my other real sweet spot is like late 80s, early 90s bands that just tickle that line between death metal and thrash metal. So like, you know, Incubus, Opprobrium, Beneath the Remains, Sepultura. And when I first heard Demolition Hammer, I was like, I'm the biggest poser in the world, right? Like I listen to metal all the time and I talk about metal all the time. And I've never heard this, you know. I felt the same way when I heard Demolition Hammer for the first time. So
that's all right. We've had the drummer on the show, and I still haven't heard the band.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
Poser.
Because he's in this band too. So.
Right. Yeah. His name escapes me right now.
Angel.
Bald guy's got a beard.
Angel Cote.
Yeah. I've seen them with him. I saw them at St. Vitus with him. And then they played that festival in Europe, and they were great.
Yeah, he's awesome. Very awesome drummer. Actually, he's on Facebook, and every once in a while, he'll post videos of himself playing drums. But he doesn't play drums to songs. He plays it to like TV theme songs.
Really?
Yeah, he does really cool.
If he does Sanford and Son, I will subscribe to his channel. I swear.
I'll suggest that to
him.
He just did the Inspector Gadget theme.
Well, he does a good job because you know, like he's got pretty big shoes to fill because the original drummer for Demolition Hammer, Vinny Days, like that dude was a little bit ahead of his time in terms of like the drumming. It was brutal. And he's the guy who died because he like ate the poison fish at the restaurant.
Oh really?
Oh, the fugu?
Yeah, he ate like the poison fish and died.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, whoops. Yeah. That's why I only get the Gaijin Mackie rolls with, you know, Philly cream cheese and
there you go.
Like that, right? But yeah, no, that's awesome. You guys have had him on, man. Both times I've seen him, he's ripped it. You know, he's really good.
I can't take that credit. It's all Wayne. I'm the newbie on the show.
You weren't
so.
here yet. But he's a very cool guy.
George, thank you.
No, not you.
Oh.
So what other bands recently have you guys done discographies for?
Oh my God, we really haven't done much. We do have a sideshow, a King Diamond sideshow. So we've been going through that discography, and we're trying to get to the end of that. But actually, I noticed on the last podcast that you just did, you said you were getting into King Diamond. What's that all about?
Again, I was a little late to the bus.
A little late to the party.
It was. I never really got into King Diamond, and for whatever reason, I never quite heard the song To Catch Me. And then I heard the Merciful Fate song. So I got a copy of Merciful Fate, Don't Break the Oath on vinyl. And I thought, like, I don't love this, but I should own this. Like, I should have this.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it was original pressing.
Just for the cover as well, too.
Stroke my metal dick. Like, oh, I've got Merciful Fate, right? So I was like, I got to get this. So as I listened to it, and the song Nightmare. Down, 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 that whatever reason, that song hooked me.
That's a strange looking cat.
Yeah.
Cat looked human.
How'd you get out of the cage? End transmission. No.
I'm looking for a city.
Once that song got me in, and then I was like, okay, so fine. So then I basically went with that. I don't love Fatal Portrait. I don't love that album still.
God.
I know.
This show is over.
I do
Wayne, stop
Abigail,
shaming.
them. I like The Iron Conspiracy too. I don't dislike Fatal Portrait, but of all the albums of that first chunk, that's probably the one I listen to the least.
Really?
But and then also, like, I've been meaning, I like the Death Connection because Andy LaRocque played on Individual Thought Patterns by Death, and I saw Motorhead many times with Mickey D. And I was always a big Mickey D fan. So, it finally all came together. So I'm finally on the King Diamond boat.
I hope so.
And seeing him live, seeing him live was also, that's when it all kind of clicked.
Right. That's why I find sometimes when I watch bands play live, I tend to like them a little bit more than just hearing regular video on YouTube or whatever. Sometimes it just doesn't click until you see it.
Sure.
Just like the band Ghost. I know some people, I don't know, they don't like Ghost. Do you like Ghost at all? Are you a fan?
I was there.
It's probably not heavy enough for you, but
well, I was there when people talk about Maryland Death Fest moments. Ghost played the Maryland Death Fest right before they blew up, and it was packed. Huh?
That doesn't even fit.
Yeah, well, that's the Maryland Death Fest people. They bring in some strange shit. One time they booked Mobb Deep to play after the Maryland Death Fest. Yeah, they do some weird shit like that. We had the Melvins. Melvins played. That was a good show. But so I saw them there, and then they got really big. I don't. It just sounds too much like Blue Oyster Cult for me. But live, with the visual and all, it's definitely. I would much rather see Ghost live than sit down and listen to Ghost.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that doesn't hear the Ghost BOC comparisons? I don't hear it.
The first album. After that, they kind of get away from it.
Well, maybe like the first trilogy of albums, like production-wise sounds similar, but not songwriting-wise. But yeah, whatever, to each their own. All right. I like Ghost, and I look at it this way. I think Mobb Deep has more makes more sense after a Maryland Death Fest than maybe booking a band like Warrant to headline. So
God, yeah.
But thank God they never jumped the shark in that regard.
No, not at all. It makes me think of another band that
the Shit Beatles.
The Shit Beatles. The Shitty Beatles. How are they?
They suck.
And you notice when they go, the Jolly Green Giants are actually getting off the stage. In Wayne's World, go back and watch it. Because they had the Jolly Green Giants on the marquee, and this guy says it. He's like, "Got the Jolly Green Giants and the Shitty Beatles." And when you see the stage, the Jolly Green Giants are getting off the stage.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
George, what's your favorite Corner album? I haven't even asked you.
I don't have a favorite Corner album.
I know.
It's on my list.
What's your favorite Ghost album, George?
I don't have one either.
Me neither. But I will say this: I don't think I've listened to much Ghost since Meliora. That's the second full length.
Yeah.
You're not missing much, really. I love them, but you're not missing much.
Yeah.
So you could stop.
But another band that is a little bit more enjoyable live than on album. They have some good songs. Is Mushroom Head? Because they have like the kind of the pre-Slipknot kind of right. Stage presence. But if you ever heard the guy from Mushroom Head where he prank calls the kid looking to start a black metal band?
Oh yeah, that's at the end of the Double X album, I think.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's a band I appreciate more as time goes on. Like I find more and more that I like about them than I used to.
well, Double X and 13 were pretty damn good albums and pretty interesting music too. You know, like Time of Song. You know, like throw in the keyboards and like it's a little bit more. It's a little bit deeper than just a bunch of dudes in masks.
Yeah,
and I always appreciated that
Right.
from them. Plus, their live show is pretty fun. You know, with the big stage set up and
never got to see them live.
yeah, they did the live show pretty good, pretty interesting. So.
And
Yeah.
the other thing was Rush. You're a huge fan of Rush.
Oh, I love Rush. Yeah.
And
Nice.
Lou was a very huge fan, and actually Lou was in a tribute band to Rush for a while.
Yeah, I played bass and keys in a band called Snakes and Arrows, and my friend Greg took over.
You were
So,
Geddy Lee, huh?
No, I did not sing. So I was Ged, not Geddy Lee. I was half Ged.
You're Ged.
So, well, then here's the Rush question. What's your favorite Rush album between Presto and Test for Echo?
My favorite Rush album between Presto and Test for Echo?
Yeah, between that
Oof.
window.
I can tell you what my 3 favorites are from that. Probably Counterparts #1, then Test for Echo, then Presto.
Yeah. I'm a big Counterparts. I like Counterparts a lot.
Don't get me wrong, I love Roll the Bones, but I think there are songs from Roll the Bones that I love and other ones that I could do without. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not knocking them at all. It's just, like I said, it's just preference. My favorite Rush album is Clockwork Angels, actually.
Really? Hey, you know what? Like,
I think that's the best, and trust me, you're talking to someone whose favorite album was Farewell to Kings. Clockwork Angels, I was just like, my God. Like, them and Priest are the only 2 bands I know where their last album, I feel like, was their best work.
like that's when Rush did the Rock Hall of Fame. I remember Neil Peart being like, hey, we're still a touring band. We're still putting out albums. And Clockwork Angels was awesome.
Mhm.
What's the one jam on there that I like them all. Not
Headlong Flight.
Headlong Flight is good. It starts with the drum roll. Oh my God.
Oh, the Anarchist?
Yes. That.
Or is it Carnies? It's one.
Anarchist.
Okay.
Anarchist. I love that. But I'm a Farewell for Kings guy too. Like, if she sneaks back in here, the first time I went on a date with my wife, I did the whole, like, we were drinking at a bar in Baltimore, and I put a bunch of tunes in the jukebox, and I put in Xanadu. And even she
Greatest
was
song
like,
ever written.
Yeah, it is. It really is. She was like, this is cool. What is this? I was like, oh, this is Rush, it's Xanadu. And then years later, we saw them on the final tour.
Mhm.
And when they started playing Xanadu, like, it was incredible for me to hear Xanadu.
Yeah.
And then I got to hear them play. My other favorite jam is Red Barchetta, and they played that on the Time Machine tour. So I'm lucky enough I got to see them do a couple of the top 2 songs.
That is cool.
I'm still a fairly new fan to them, so I really haven't gotten fully into Rush.
What about you, George? Rush fan?
I was just going to
Not really.
What the hell are you here for, George?
I don't know. You invited me to fill the 4th spot on the screen.
That's all you were here for. I just wanted somebody moving.
That to show off my cat.
Well, let me ask you, who are your bass influences? Top 3.
Steve Harris,
Mhm.
Billy Sheehan. Who would the third one be? Hell, I don't know. I was more of a just if I hear something and I like it, oh, cool.
We'll say Lemmy. We'll just say Lemmy.
Yeah, that's fine. Lemmy's
Okay.
good.
What about the guy from Mr. Big?
Billy Sheehan.
Billy Sheehan. Did you say him already?
I did.
Oh, you did. I didn't hear you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Pay attention, boy.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you pay attention when you hear Billy
I
Sheehan.
should. You know what? I'll just leave.
The fast ones go right past you, son. That's a joke, son.
So I have another show actually that we do on 97 Underground.
How many shows do you have?
Too many. This one, I don't put this one on the podcasting or services. This one's only, it's only runs live. It's only an hour long, and it's actually my buddy is really the creative guy behind it. I just I have the setup and the production. So it's called the Metal Mission, and we talk about like music that influenced metal, right? Like, and we too early heavy metal. And we were actually just talking about how we want to play the Necromancer from Caress of Steel.
Okay.
And how, that Caress of Steel album gets shit on a little bit, but, it often gets overlooked besides Bastille Day, and Lakeside Park and all that stuff. So we're and on that show we're gonna do some deep diving into Caress of Steel. So
I actually saw Dream Theater perform The Necromancer the first time I ever saw them at Jones Beach when it was them and Queensrÿche and Fate's Warning, and it was pretty awesome.
Yeah. I was a little late to the game as well, but I've only in the past five years or so have I appreciated how awesome that like mid 70s to late 70s King Crimson is. Like I always know like 21st Century Schizoid Man and all, but you know, I've been listening to a lot of that lately, like Red and Lark's Tongue and Aspect Park 1. You know, that definitely kind of I don't know, beginning into that kind of stuff a lot. And I see that with like some of those longer Rush jams, listen to some of those longer King Crimson jams, like I don't know. So that's part of what we do on the show. We try to find that kind of stuff because you know, like a band like Tool, you talk about taking bands on tour. Tool took King Crimson on tour because Tool was very much influenced by the King Crimson albums with Adrian Bello, like Discipline and Beat. I wish I could have seen that. As someone told me that because Tool took Meshuggah on tour. We won't say the word Jen. We won't say the D word, but you know, each member of Tool, they rotate choosing who they want to tour with them. And you know, Tool's one of the few like still legit, real deal hard rock heavy metal bands that can sell out at an arena. Yeah. So anybody, it's like you know, if Tool asks you to tour, you tour. A band that I know some of the guys from this band, Intronaut. We're out of California. Oh, they were good. Yeah, they toured with Tool, and they said it was wild. Like it was a lot of fun. So, yeah.
I saw Tool when they had Phantomas open up for them. That was interesting.
That's pretty cool. What did you think of the last Tool album, though? Because that one got a lot of shit from a lot of people.
You know, it was a slow burn for me. I liked some of the stuff, and then actually, the last big concert I saw in February of 2020, February 1st, was Tool in New Orleans. And we talk about songs that click live. That the first lead single, Fear Inoculum, that live, for whatever reason, that really it sounded a lot better to me live. And that after the show, I mean, I knew some of the jams. I knew Pneuma and some of that like Invincible. Kind of like somewhat familiar with them, but since seeing those Fear Inoculum songs live, I've become a bigger fan of it. Although I always did like the one song Seven Empest. That name is stupid as hell, but that's the one song when I listened to the album when I first got it. That's the one song that really stuck with me, probably because it's the heaviest.
Yeah, it's the heaviest, and it actually does something in the song. There's an actual song going on, and it sounds like a Tool song too. It's it has a flow to it.
But yeah, seeing live, I think it's is it Pneuma? One of those two other songs. There's a part at the end, the tempo changes, the guitar speeds up. That live, like because Tool also has the visuals live and all that. That really augments the performance. But yeah, I liked it. I still wouldn't say it's. I wouldn't say it's in my top favorite Tool albums. Like I love, like for me, Lateralis and 10,000 Days. The good songs are unbelievable and some of their best, but there's just a little too much filler. Right. I at least Fear Inoculum. Some of the songs definitely meander, but at least it's got more. It doesn't have as many of the filler stuff. And I know somebody told me like you got to take Lateralis and rearrange the songs and the filler songs fit in and all this shit. But like I'm not. I just like to press play and listen.
Right, yeah, that's kind of silly.
Same here.
Yeah.
George, what's your favorite Tool album?
I don't have a favorite Tool album.
I knew you were going to say that.
What's yours, Wayne?
10,000 Days I really like a lot. And then, I don't know how you pronounce it. The one you just did, you were, the one that starts with U.
Oh.
Uteralis or something or whatever.
That's an L. That's Lateralis.
That's
Uteralis.
Uterus.
Is that a
Good night, everybody.
Uteralis by Queen Pop?
That's a you can tell I'm terrible at remembering names.
Well, I mean, I don't know what
Queef Tornado.
Queef Tornado.
Getting a visual there.
Smell-O-Vision.
That's gonna be the name of the next Timeless Horn album.
I like that.
I vacillate. Like sometimes it's Enema, sometimes it's Undertow. Like I'll never get sick of hearing the song Bottom with like that crazy Henry Rollins, spoken word in the middle. Shit adds up at the bottom, and it slows down. And I like. So I don't know. It's tough for me to say which one's my favorite.
They really don't. I mean, except for that last album, I think all the other albums are fairly good. You know, the last album just did not get me. I mean, I should have really listened to it again. But we did a review of that on this show, probably last year, I think it was. Or when did that come? Yeah, it came out last year.
It came out summer of 2019.
Yeah. So, wow, that was a long time ago.
Time flies when the world's ending.
I guess so, right? But yeah, a lot of us really didn't care for it. So
I dig it. I still, like 10,000 Days, like the songs on 10,000 Days that work are awesome. Like I love the song Right In Two. I think Right In Two is a great song. You know, obviously all the ones like Jambi and all that. There's just a little too much filler on 10,000 Days for me. But but I loved it. I mean, I first saw Tool on the 10,000 Days tour. It was the first time I saw them, and they actually played what is it? Wings for Marie Part 1 and 2 together from 10,000 Days, and that was awesome.
That's the first album of theirs that I actually bought and listened to. So I think that's why I tend to go to that one a little bit more.
Sure.
I loved Fear Inoculum. I thought it was a great album. I preferred it to 10,000 Days, but Anima is still my favorite Tool album.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably the one I'd probably go back to the most. That was the one that hooked me.
Yeah.
You know, like when I first got into Tool. Again, I was a little late to the Tool boat. I mean, I remember digging Schism when it came out on the radio, but I didn't quite get into the whole album Lateralis. So I think it was what's the song on Anima? Get off your fucking cross and nail the next fool.
Oh, that's a Eulogy.
Yes, that song. We talk about songs that hook you, right? Like for me, like what got me into King Diamond was Merciful Fate, Nightmare. You know, it was definitely Eulogy is what got me full on into Tool.
So, I don't have a favorite Tool album.
Already mentioned that.
George, what's your favorite Queef Huffer album?
All of them.
What's some start wrapping this up? But what's some new bands that you're really into lately?
Actually, a band that's really blown me away. We get a lot of promos for the show, and I try to give them all a good listen, like Timeless On.
Oh, we've heard this band already.
But Timeless On,
sick of them, obviously.
A band out of Indiana called Yellowtooth. It's kind of like
I see them every day.
Oh yeah, you do. I can only imagine the beautiful teeth you see in southern Pennsylvania.
Oh, I get that joke now. I was like, what? I get it too.
The Omega effect.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
So who's new? Who else is new? So Yellowtooth, really good. Stoner, sludge, heavy. Kind of I Hate Gotti, but a little less abrasive, a little less caustic. A band out of actually a bunch of good Canadian bands that come my way. There's a band called Raider. If you kind of like that, like heavier Priest, like you said, you thought the new Priest was like their best album, you'd probably dig some Raider.
Cool.
Got that feel, but with a little bit harsher vocals. They're really good.
Is there a gunshot going on right now behind you?
A gunshot?
I hear that.
I don't know. It sounds crazy.
Like a siren or
Somebody's
something.
getting arrested or something over by you.
No.
Or is your wife drying her hair?
No, I don't think so.
Unless she's watching SVU right now. Who knows?
Oh, she loves that shit. That show's so terrible.
Your wife and my wife should meet up one day.
One time she turned it on, and it was the episode that was trying to be like Gamergate.
I don't even want to talk about Gamergate. Leave it alone.
Right? Terrible. Who else has been new that's come across the pipes pretty good? A band out of Chicago called Beyond Death. DETH, Death. Okay. Kind of have that old school Demolition Hammer, death thrash kind of feel. Enforced, out of Richmond, Virginia, who was on the podcast right before George. Enforced, kind of do like thrash metal crossover pretty well. It's pretty heavy, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's close to death metal. But if you dig like old school thrash. They're doing pretty well. Those are probably they're the best ones that have come across the pipe recently.
Yeah.
So
I found this band. I don't know if you might be into this. I don't know how to pronounce it. Ioton? I-O-T.
Jotun? Is that like Jotun?
Jotun.
Yeah.
That's like the Frost Giants, right?
Yeah, think of the Jotunheim from Thor. So
Right.
So on the thing it says a more epic version of Enslaved, enriched with I don't even know what the Soulstuffer Melancholy. I don't know, exciting debut. I don't know. I heard one song off of here. It's very like atmospheric. Got a lot of death metal stuff going on in here. And it's also like some kind of like not operatic, but clean vocals going on. But I really like the song I heard off of this, so check that out. It's really cool. I think it would fit
Enslaved is one of those bands like Agalloch. Like I don't really like that kind of folky metal, like, but the stuff that works, folky, I really like. Like I don't really like Agalloch a lot, and then there's one song called "Not Unlike the Waves." Awesome. Or like Enslaved, right? Like I don't love all their stuff, but like their stuff that hits really works. I just don't really like troll metal, like Finn Troll.
I don't either. Yeah, I don't like that. That's not what that is.
Or like Helvete. If someone comes out there with a fucking hurdy-gurdy and shit, I'm not. I mean, it's cool, but that's not my style. That's not my style.
Mine neither. Another band too, Silver Talon. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
Yes, I have heard of them. Yeah,
that's very cool. Old school metal type sound to them.
That's like you said, Judicator kind of has that feel.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's a band. Actually, there's a band. Talk about bands if you like that. There's a band out of Canada called Traveler that kind of do that retro heavy metal, speed metal, kind of like Exciter-ish kind of sound. Another Canadian band, right? But yeah, they're kind of in that vein. Not clean vocals, but I wouldn't say operatic vocals. The higher pitch kind of, it's not growling.
It's typical power metal type.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not. Yeah, it's not brutal. Yeah. So yeah, Traveler. They put an album out called Termination Shock. You guys probably really dig it. It's good stuff.
Check it out.
So, I actually heard Judicator because of your last show. Just want to drop some love for them. The album Let There Be Nothing. The song Tomorrow's Sun. Good stuff. Yeah.
They're really cool. They're really cool. I'm hoping to get some new stuff. I got their stuff from. I think a company from up by you guys, Skateboard Marketing. I think the guy.
Oh, Muncie Ritchie.
Muncie. Oh yeah. Hey, what's up, my brother? I got stuff for you this week, my brother. Yeah. I
love Muncie.
Got my weekly calls with Muncie about stuff I already know. He's like, bro, we got this enforced. I'm like, Muncie, I had that guy on the fucking podcast.
Hey, you can't fault him for doing his job.
Dude, he's awesome. No.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
Muncie. He's awesome.
The longest running independent marketer for metal, loud rock, whatever you want to call it, to college radio stations and radio stations around the country. George, you may want to jump on that.
Okay.
I don't mean on Muncie literally. I mean,
check it out.
I mean, get your music out to him.
Hey, why are you sitting on me, bro? No, but Muncie actually connected me with the first band I interviewed, a band out of Texas called Creeping Death, because he was promoting their single, sent me the single, was ripping. Creeping Deaths, there's like a wave of bands, kind of like Power Trip. It's like kind of death metal mixed with hardcore-ish kind of influences. Mm-hmm. So Muncie hooked me up with my first interview. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, good dude.
We gotta get in touch with him too, then.
I'll talk to Muncie about getting us some dudes to interview on the show. That'd be cool.
Please do that. I don't know why you didn't think about that before. The hell's the matter?
Because I forgot. Because it's been so. Let's see. Because I graduated college. I've been out of college.
No, please. I don't want to hear no more about your backstory.
Well, then stop asking me.
I mean, I'll, if you guys are interested, I'll pass your info on to the Big Destroyer guys. I'm sure they would do. They would do it with you.
I'd love to talk to Scott Hull. Definitely, sure.
Yeah, if he wants to do that, sure. I'm a huge Pig Destroyer fan, but I'll have anybody on the show. I don't care.
Oh, those guys. I mean,
come on.
Yeah,
I have George on the show.
The time was fun. Adam Jarvis, the drummer for Big Destroyer Misery Index.
Yeah.
Adam Jarvis and I have thrown down. We've seen Charlie Daniels together. We've seen Leonard Skinner together. We've seen Rush together. So yeah, I think you'd find you'd find some common ground to talk on with those guys.
Nice.
After the crazy stuff. Yeah.
George, cool. Before we go, is there anything new that you like out, George?
Oh, now you want to talk to George.
I have nothing to say. Not really, Wayne, no.
Great.
I haven't really listened to anything. Yeah, Timeless Haunt.
Timeless. That's all he wants. That's all you came on here for, is just to promote Timeless Haunt. And
That's right. Selfish shit that I am. Yeah. Look at that. Look at that.
When I got mine in the
Thank you,
mail, I
Lou.
instantly threw it in the garbage. Did you see my video?
Yes, I did.
I think I have a Timeless Haunt CD here. There's Fleetwood Mac.
There were Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, hold on. I have one here. Why do I have all these? Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Oh, the man.
Suicidal Tendencies.
Yes.
Nice.
Where did I put the? Oh, talk about new good bands.
Check
Out
the
of
garbage.
Texas. Rabid Flesh Eaters. Good stuff. Kind of thrashy.
Sounds like a pop band.
Kind of Danzig-y, kind of. But yeah, where did I put this Timeless Haunt CDs? I have them, George.
Maybe your wife used it as a coaster.
Yeah,
That's
no,
what
not
it is.
using it as a coaster.
It's under the table to even the legs out. It's a shin.
Yeah.
You know, what's the greatest
My wife came down here and she was like, "Get him out of here!" That's why she was coming down here.
Get rid of those Timeless Haunt CDs.
The best band name I've heard in a long time is Nicolas Cage Fighter.
Yes, that's the new one.
Yeah.
I want to hear that.
Not as cool as Queef Huffer, Lou.
No,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
it's
that's true.
not even close.
Okay, fine. The coolest name I heard up until I heard Queef Huffer was Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage Fighter.
Wasn't there a band called the Tony Danza Tat Tax Extravaganza?
Yes, there was.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
What? You again?
All right.
Some bands I just don't want to listen to.
And every song was just the clip of Mona.
Angela.
I need to listen to that. But I think this is the end of the show. Another cat, Figaro. Hello, Figaro.
Oh, hey, what's up, Cat?
Figaro.
Well, last thing. So one of the guys from Pig Destroyer, Blake, has a side project called Hate Beak, and he took his friend's
I
parakeet
think I've heard of it.
and he
Hate
recorded it, and then he programmed like somewhat generic grindcore, and then he like massively distorted the vocals. And every song and every album is like a bird pun, so they have like Bird Seeds of Vengeance, and so I appreciate the punnage of that. Yeah. Really good stuff.
It seems to be a common thread amongst musicians in the underground. I remember Justin Brannon, who was in Indecision and Most Precious Blood. He had a band called Caninus, where he actually put his mic up to his Rottweilers, and over the music, which would be loud, fast, aggressive, thrash, hardcore, you hear like that over it, and like it was pure genius.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've heard of them before. So yeah.
That's cool. People think of some cool shit to do. But again,
I don't know
what?
I was going to say, I don't know what I can get with him. He goes, meh. The cat.
We'll think of something.
All right.
Scott, again, thank you very much for coming on the show. And where can people go? Where can people go to hear 97 Underground and Zombie Ritual and all your other podcasts?
So the main site is www.97underground.com. That's got the main web player on there. There it is, Baltimore's Pure Rock Worldwide. And then also we have the app on Google and Amazon, all the different app stores. Just search 97 Underground. Boom, there it is. And then my show, new episodes of my show are Saturday at 7. And then old episodes, as quickly as I can load them, or on Apple Podcasts, Google, Amazon. The only thing, Zombie Ritual is not on Spotify. But the 97 Underground podcast that George was on with Timeless Haunt is on all major podcast providers, Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio. And also, we're pretty active on social media. 97 Underground, we're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, same as Zombie Ritual. So you can find us there. And all of our social media pages have links to the apps and to the stream player. So, yeah, and brand new episodes on Saturday nights at 7, so you can hear some sweet, tasty, extreme metal. And then also the Metal Mission, where we play all that old shit, is Tuesdays at 4 on 97 Underground. So tune in, check us out. Appreciate it.
A lot of stuff. Very cool. Awesome.
Well, I'm sorry. You were probably like Wayne, real quick. Most nights at 9, we change format to Nasty at Night, and the guy who programs Nasty at Night is right up your alley.
Really?
Thrash, power. So after 9 p.m., we kind of do a station format shift to that. So check out Nasty at Night after 9 p.m.
Right. Cool.
I think you dig it. So
I will definitely do that. And George, where can we find you and Timeless Haunt and all your things?
www.timelesshaunt.com. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the typical social media places.
All right, very cool. Actually, your Twitter is backwards. So anybody
No,
else?
it's on Timeless.
On Timeless.
Yeah, it's on Timeless. Yeah.
Well, there is this guy on social media. His name's Timeless B Ass. You can probably find him out there.
Yeah, find him there too, right?
Yeah.
No relation.
No.
And Lou, what about your podcast, Music is Life?
Well, I'm happy to say that we now have a website, musicisLifepodcast.com.
Very good.
And what I'm looking to do with it, thank you very much. And what I'm looking to do with this is not only promote the good name of the show and ratstylereview.com, but also use it as a forum to support independent entrepreneurs, whether they're musicians or artists or business owners, just to help get their name out there and spread them to a wide area. So I'm taking it to the public and we're taking it to the streets. And you can find me every week here on Rat Style Review.
I don't want to.
And I know Scott right now is miming "Taking It to the Streets" by
You
the Doobie
don't
Brothers.
know me,
Yep.
but I'm your brother. I was raised here. Sorry, big yacht rock fan here.
We just got a copyright strike thing.
I just got into King Diamond and I like yacht rock, so just take the metal card and earn it.
Put it right in the shredder.
Oh, what a fool believes. Sorry, couldn't help it.
All right. And you can find us at ratsoundreview.com, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, all that stuff, and YouTube. Please hit the subscribe button. Oh, and also on the Hameen Media Group on YouTube as well. And I think that's it, right, Lou?
That's right. Cheers to George and cheers to Evil Scott.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
Awesome.
No problem. And we will see
Love
you
to-
guys.
love to- we
next
still haven't
time.
even talked about Carnivore yet, so love to come on
That's
again.
true. You're
Scott,
more than
we'll talk about Carnivore and Typo Negative on my show. I'll hit you up.
Let me know, man. All about it.
That'd be
Cool.
awesome. All right. See you guys next week. Bye.
Cheers.
Guys, thank you so
Take
much.
care.
See you, George.
See you guys.
All right.